Let's bring on my buddy, First Things First co-host, Nick Wright. Look at this.
What's up, my friend?
You look like a 70s. You're like a member of the Beatles.
Okay.
You look so good.
Okay.
And look at this.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Did you see, you know how you say, and I want to talk about your herd hierarchy in a moment, but you know how you say our show is the only show in sports with no budget?
Yeah.
Did you see what we did Friday to celebrate Trevor Lawrence's arrival to the playoffs? We had professional trumpeters in full royalty costumes come out on set. Just throwing money away, Colin. That's what you can do when you're the only show on sports TV with no budget. Can I have a few qualms with the herd hierarchy?
Sure.
Can I just throw it?
Of course.
All right, so I agree with a lot of it. You said one thing, though, about the Jags that I don't know if you totally believe, which is you said they're one and done in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they beat Tennessee in 2 weeks and they're at home, you don't think the Jags and Doug Peterson could beat the Chargers in Jacksonville in a playoff game in a 4-5? Because I think they could. I think Herbert versus Lawrence is very, very close. I like Peterson more than I like Staley. That would be a home game for them. The Chargers having to go all the way cross country. I actually think the Jags could win that game and find themselves in the divisional round. The other thing you said, you just took a shot at me. You're like, everyone likes the Bills except Nick Wright. I'm just the only truth teller in America when it comes to everyone's favorite quarterback, Josh Allen. Colin, would you believe me if I told you that over the last 10 weeks, Josh Allen is 30th in completion percentage, 26th in passer rating, and has the most turnovers of any quarterback in the league? That's 2.5 months of football. He's supposed to be their strength. Their other strength was Von Miller, who's done for the year.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I understand they're winning games, but I think Cincinnati's going to be a handful for them on Monday.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is this. I agree with you entirely on Cincinnati, but you mentioned the continuity on the offensive line. La'el Collins being lost for the year with the torn ACL.
Yeah.
I want to see how they deal with that.
Right.
Because that has been such a huge part of their success, and now he's gone.
Yeah, he was real spotty early in the year. I think he got his stuff together, then he got hurt. It's a bad time in the year for some injuries. It's so disheartening. You see these young guys get hurt at the end of the year, and you're like, oh, it's so heartbreaking. So I do want to ask you, you have been critical of Dak through the years, and I think we've both had the same thing. He's a good B-plus quarterback. I always say he's Kirk Cousins with a much better brand. So I look at this team like the Chargers. I don't trust them to win 3 straight road games, get to the Super Bowl. But I got to be honest, that Dak's winning kind of the games he needs to. So where are you with Dak right now?
Well, I thought Sunday was arguably the best win of his career. And that's kind of a compliment wrapped in an insult, and I don't mean it to be. But if that could be the best win of your career, it means you haven't won a ton of big games. However, given the fact that they lost the Jags game because of a pick six, and then you start the Eagles game essentially with a pick six, rallying from that against that defense, leading the team to 40 points, getting the 3rd and 30 to keep that game alive, and doing what he did, I now look at Dallas and I say, okay, round 1, they're going to go to Tampa. I think that is actually a sneaky, tough game because of Brady, but let's say they win it. I would like them in a round 3 against Philly with no Lane Johnson, with Avonte Maddox now out, and with real questions like, is Jalen Hurts going to have a month between games? A guy who has no playoff history whatsoever except for one game when he was bad, was playing great. Now a kind of curious injury to his throwing shoulder that it seems like the team isn't giving us all the details on. That, to me, that's a real concern if I'm an Eagles fan. And I could absolutely see Dallas, for the first time since I was in 5th grade, finding itself in the conference championship game. I don't think they can beat San Francisco, but I do think round 3 they could go to Philadelphia against an all of a sudden very banged up Eagles team and win that game.
I want to ask you about Mac Jones. I compared him to Grayson Allen earlier, where I said,
that's right,
Rodman, Romanowski, Draymond Green have been accused of being dirty players, but you get such a benefit from their ability. I mean, the Draymond Green is the catalyst for that offense. Rodman was the most annoying player in the league. And Romanowski, say what you want, was nobody wanted to play against him. Well, Grayson Allen and Mac Jones are just not that good. And I've come to a point now, I have 3 incidents with Mac Jones. I think he's become a cheap player. That's what I view. How do you view it?
I think you're being too kind. Because here's the other part of it, Colin. You're on television every day, multiple hours a day. If a couple times a year you slipped up and cursed, you could say, okay, listen, it's a mistake. I'm on for literally hundreds of hours a year. If you brought someone on once a month for 5 minutes and every other time they curse, be like, oh, they have a cursing problem. They can't help themselves. Mac Jones has very limited opportunities to be dirty.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen could be dirty every play of the game. Bill Romanowski had 70 snaps a game. He's playing quarterback. He only has maybe one opportunity a week to be dirty, and more often than not, he seems to take it.
Yeah.
He gator-rolled Brian Burns. He multiple times against the Bears slid spikes up, which would have gotten you a red card if you were playing for France in the World Cup, and he hit a guy in the groin. And then that play on Eli Apple was awful. And even after the play on Eli Apple, CBS didn't give us a replay of it, but after Ramondre's fumble, there was a little scrum, and something happened in the scrum where all 3 refs threw their flags. And when they came out, they said, unsportsmanlike conduct number 10. We didn't get to see what it was,
right,
but it was on Mac Jones. All of his behavior, Colin, reminds you of we've all known somebody or played sports with somebody who's always yelling at teammates, who's always whining to his coaches, and who, when he gets a chance, will undercut you on a fast break or the football equivalent of it. We have a lot of evidence that on his usage rate, Colin, on opportunities to be dirty and times he's dirty is like Russell Westbrook the first year without Kevin Durant. It's off the charts. We've never seen anything like it.
Finally, I said, listen, I said the media is the IRS. We're not built to be liked. We audit. Sometimes we give you a check. Sometimes we ask for more. We're not built to be liked. Sometimes we have to ask tough questions. My knock on the media is too often we play hall monitor. Like we have all the answers. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. I'm guilty of it. And with Tua, sometimes the media is, he can't play again. You've got to take him off. And my thing is, fine, I agree with you. But Tua is going to fight like mad to play. Because now he's been bad and he's unavailable. And I do think this situation, I wouldn't play him. I'd sit him for the next 2. But I think Tua's going to fight like mad. They've already tried to move off him twice. And I think this situation with Tua is sad. It's difficult. It's more complex than everybody makes it out to be. Or maybe I'm wrong. How do you view it?
No, listen, and let me be serious for a moment. This is one of the things that I have a tremendous amount of respect for you for, which is everybody knows the easiest stance possible that you will get no pushback for, which is just say, protect the player from himself. It's bigger than the game. If you say that, you don't even have to really talk about it on TV. You move on. I think you're giving a more honest answer. And I respect that. And it takes in this format, a measure of media courage, if you will. So I'll walk down that same street with you, even though there'll be some, potential blowback for it. Because I agree with you. So here's where I stand on professional football and protecting players in concussions. I think it is incredibly important in the game, in the moment, to protect guys from themselves. Because quite literally, they may not have their wits about them. They might not be thinking clearly if it is a potential head injury. And so having, the independent neurologist, all of that comes in and says, you are out. You cannot fight to get back in this football game.
That's
it
right.
does not matter.
We agree.
I think that's good.
Yes.
I also think, and this is, I know people will tell me this is maybe archaic or caveman thinking. I also think that once you are then removed from that, days later, no one thinks the hit is now affecting your ability to make rational decisions. Should we let pro athletes do something that might be against their long-term health, knowing all the information and making a grown-up decision? I feel we should. I feel like this is very different than 10, 15 years ago when people did not have the information about CTE, when guys did not know what the potential long-term ramifications were. Guys were making decisions without having all the information.
Right.
But do I think grown adults should be allowed to be presented all the information and then make a choice for themselves that says my long-term health might be taking a side to my career pursuits or my feeling of obligation to the team or me wanting to be great and make sure I'm the quarterback of this team because I've sacrificed so much to get here? I do think we should let guys make that decision.
Yeah.
And I know that that is increasingly unpopular of an opinion to hold, but it's what I truly believe. So
yeah.
I'm glad, I think they need to do a better job within the game
yes.
of taking guys out. But then post-game, I think we need to have a more honest conversation about what we are okay with guys deciding they're going to subject themselves to.
Yeah, and that's what it's really about, because I said this earlier, is they had a tampering with Brady. They had to give up a draft pick. Deshaun Watson, Ryan Fitzpatrick, they've moved on. This kid's not, Tua knows he's probably going to clear protocols, and he's going to fight like mad to play. And I just want us in the media to realize I wouldn't play him. I'd sit him. But it's not as simple as everybody, well, he was hurt in the game. Yes, I guess he was. I didn't see it, but afterwards, the reasoning makes a ton of sense. But I think sometimes you should sit him. But it's not as easy when you're a young man fighting for your career and you pass all the protocol.
It's not. And everyone acting like, and here's the other thing, and then I know I'm going too long. Everyone acting like that we are going to ignore the sacrifices people have made, the choices they have made to get to this level, and then act like their career is just like any other job. It's not. It's incredibly a short window. The opportunity to play is, you don't have a 50-year career in the NFL. Most guys don't have a 15-year career in the NFL. And guys have already made a lot of choices that that are putting their bodies in more jeopardy than if they did nearly anything else. And what I don't like, and I'm open to being wrong on this, Colin, but I don't like when people act like it's obvious, it's a no-brainer, and anyone that you're not allowed to have a contrary opinion here. I think it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
I also think, if we're being totally honest, this would have been a even better discussion if every time you came on camera you weren't wearing a teal backwards hat.
Yeah.
We just had 6 minutes of great concussion commentary, and you look like, you look like Steve Buscemi in those commercials. I think J-Mac's got to let you out of the bet. I think you paid your penance here. It's 25 minutes of the hat. I think he's got to let you go.
Great seeing you, buddy. As always, Nick Wright, first things first. Trumpets on their show. We got peanut brittle here for the holidays. That's all we got. We got no budget. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.